It's a cold, wet spring day out here in the Shire. So, let's head inside and see what Renee is up to in the kitchen.
Today I'm going to be making cottage pie. I've made this my entire life for my kids. I've elevated it and I can't wait to show you what I've done. It's one of those foods that once you start eating it, it's really hard to stop. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn our burner on and we're going to put some olive oil in here. There are 3 components to this dish, and I've cut up the onion for the first part of this recipe. So I'm just going to put these in the pan, and we're going to saute those down until they're tender and not quite caramelized. In the meantime, while we're doing that, I have potatoes cut, and we're going to start cooking these so that they're ready when the rest of this gets ready. It's important to start your potatoes, cut them as close to the same size as possible so they all cook evenly. And I'm going to add some cold water to this and just cover these. Okay, we're going to turn that on to high, and we're going to let those come to a boil and then immediately turn them down. I put a top on this so that they heat up as fast as they can. And I do want to add some salt to these potatoes to start, and I'm probably adding about 3/4 of a teaspoon to begin with. It's probably going to need more than that, but we'll taste them as we go along. We're going to keep an eye on those. Now these onions are cooking a little too fast, so I'm going to turn them down, and I'm just going to make sure they're all coated with oil. So you don't want these on too high, because if you cook onions too fast, they get crunchy hard, and they're not caramelized properly, and they're not cooked properly. So I've got this on about medium to medium low. These are probably going to take about 10 minutes to get where I want them. Okay, so these are looking a little bit translucent, so they're probably cooked halfway through. So I've got about 4 cloves of chopped garlic that I'm going to put in. You can do this to taste. I'm trying to build flavor here, so we're going to add quite a bit of garlic, and it adds a lot. And I've cut everything, this has corn in it, so I've cut everything the size of a corn kernel or smaller, basically. We're going to let that cook for 3 to 5 minutes or so. Let these onions get even more cooked. Okay, so I'm going to add some salt and pepper to these. And do this to taste. And it's really important when you're cooking a layered dish like this that you season all of the layers that you're making. Okay, I love the way these are looking. You can see that they're browning up nicely and they're translucent. I'm going to let these go about another minute. And now we're going to add some hamburger. I've got 2 pounds of hamburger here. I prefer the 80-20 or 85-15. It gives it more flavor. If you would prefer to use the 90-95% lean, that's fine. It depends on what you like, but this adds a lot more flavor as far as I'm concerned. But it's up to you, whatever kind you want to use. And then you just want to break this up, and we're just going to scramble this together until it's just barely done with those onions. These potatoes are boiling. They just started boiling. I'm going to turn them down to low and let them simmer. I'm going to add another bit of salt and pepper for the hamburger. Oh, this smells so good. All right, this is almost where I want it. It's still a little pink. I'll just let this go another minute or so. All right, and I'm just going to take a little pinch of that. And just to check for the salt, that content. And that, actually, I'm going to add a little bit more to that. Okay. All right, so we're going to pull this off of the heat. So this is This is, you can still see it's a little bit pink, but that's going to cook in the oven with everything else. So we're going to leave that like that.
I don't know about you, but I am getting really hungry. I can't wait to see what happens next, right after this. Welcome back. Okay, let's find out what the next step is for this cottage pie.
This is actually the pan I'm going to cook the entire meal in. You can use one of these. I think this is a 10 or 13 inch. Let's see. It's about a 10 inch, 9.5, 10 inch pan, deep dish. And I'm going to take a slotted spoon to get some of that fat to drip out of there. And I'm going to put it in the bottom. This is your first layer. And you're leaving some flavor in there. Sometimes when I make this, if I've had bacon recently, I save my bacon grease and I use bacon grease instead of the olive oil or with the olive oil. And it adds even more flavor. So if you do have any bacon grease, it tastes great with that. I am going to take that out and pour it into a little bowl so we don't have all that liquid for the next part of this, but I am going to leave some of those pieces in there. Okay, so we're going to put it back on the burner. Let's check our potatoes. Stir those and let's see how they're doing. We'll put that there and give it a squish. Oh, see, that's nice. I like that. That's perfectly done. Your fork goes through them. You can overcook potatoes, so we don't want to do that. I'm going to strain these. Okay, and then I'm going to get these back in the pan. Put the top back on and let those sit and steam. Turn it back on and just heat that up just a little bit and let that start steaming. And I see the steam is coming out, and that's going to dry those potatoes out so they get fluffier. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the corn layer of this. We're going to take our pan again, and this time we're going to use some butter. And we're going to saute our onions with some butter. Put those in there. All right, while we're waiting for these to cook, which they're on low, and I'm going to let them cook, I just want to show you what we're using today is I have fresh corn here. You can use canned corn, you can use frozen corn, or you can use fresh corn. What we're making with this is creamed corn. It's absolutely delicious. When I first started making this for my kids, I used canned cream corn and canned corn, so I didn't go through this next step. But this elevates it to another whole level. I'm going to show you how to get this corn off of the corn cobs. The best thing you can do for this is to take a clean towel, because this keeps it from bouncing around. If you've ever tried to do this, it boinks all over the place. So we're gonna, you don't want to go in too deep. You just want to cut down, and if you feel too much resistance, you've gone too far. Feels like you want to get that whole kernel, and you just can't get in there because you'll get all that those rind pieces. And then we just pick up our cloth and put it in here. This is what comes out of this corn cob. And I'm going to show you how to do this. Okay, you're going to take your knife and you're just going to scrape down. Scrape really quite hard. Don't just keep your knife straight. Don't cut into it or anything. We're going to take, and that's flavor. And that's the rest of the corn cobs, and that will give you the most unbelievably sweet tasting nectar you've ever had. Okay, this is cooking nicely. We're going to let these go just a little bit more. We've got our potatoes just drying out a little bit. All right, so now we're going to add some flour to this, because this is what's going to be used to thicken this up. So we're going to add the flour and we're going to stir that all in to those onions and let that cook a little bit with those onions. It's a kind of a odd way to do a roux, but it works great. Make sure you get that flour mixed in and kind of cooked off a little bit. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our corn nectar. Yum, 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 yum. Stir that in. And we're going to add our corn. This up, and now I'm going to add some more salt and pepper to this. Some pepper. This is looking and smelling divine. We're not trying to brown this, we're trying to just get those flavors melded together. You can caramelize it if you want to, but it tastes better with that fresh corn because it's kind of a heavy dish, so I don't do much in caramelizing the corn. And then I'm going to add, you can add fresh thyme sprigs if you want to. I don't have any today, so I'm going to add about probably, I would say, half to a teaspoon of thyme. That seems like a lot, but this is a big dish. And we'll give that a taste in a little bit, but that looks good to me. We're gonna stir that up. Oh my gosh, it smells like heaven. Now we're gonna add some milk. We're gonna add some cream. And we're also going to add a little bit of sugar. And we're gonna bring this to a boil. Okay. So while we're waiting for that, the potatoes are still hot. We'll move these potatoes over here. What we're going to do, and there are a million different ways people make mashed potatoes. This is at room temperature, and I'm just going to break it up into pieces. I mean, I've got about 2.5 or 3 pounds of potatoes here. I'm going to use a stick of butter. You can use as much butter as you want. This just gives it an insanely good amount of butter. And then I've got some cream here at room temperature, and I'm going to add a little bit of that to start with. And then I'm going to take my ricer and I'm going to start putting these potatoes in my ricer and running them through. Okay, you can mash these with a potato masher. They will not get as fluffy, and that's glorious. That is a perfect texture. Let's stir this. This is almost boiling, and we're going to have this thicken up. Okay, stirred that around, and let's get some more potatoes going. And we're going to add some salt and pepper to these. Butter has melted in the bottom. There's cream. Oh, there we go. There's cream in there. Oh, that looks divine. I'm just going to mix those up. Okay, I can tell it needs some more cream. This is heavy cream. They're dry. They were dry, so I added a little bit more, and we're trying to make these kind of fluffy without drowning them. So now we're just going to mix some air into those. And they still look like they could use a little bit more cream. I'm going to mix that up. All right, I think that's looking good. Let's get this. Oh yeah, there we go. That's thickened up some. It's just about there. I'm going to go another couple of minutes. It isn't quite as thick as I want it, but I want it like a thick soup. That I don't want it. I don't want the corn separating like that when I pick that up. I want the corn and the cream to stay on top, so it's not quite where I want it. So I'm going to let that go. So these potatoes look great to me. Let's give these a taste. perfect on the salt. Oh, yum, perfect on the salt. And so that's ready to go. We've got the hamburger sitting here. We've got this almost done. And then there's one more step, and you do not have to do this step.
Wow, does it smell good in here? Renee is about to show us a very important step that she says adds loads of flavor when we come back from this. Okay, Renee, what do we do next?
Okay, so this is done. This is nice and thick. You can see how it's staying on the spoon, and the cream is coming off. So this is perfect. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take a couple of cups full of this. I'm going to put them in the food processor. And we're going to blitz that a little bit. I have 10 pulses on this, and we're going to dump this back into our corn. Okay, so we've blitzed some of this corn, and as you can see, this has thickened up and it's turned yellow because the corn kernels and the onions are all mixed in with this, all broken down, so it's become part of the juicy part, and we've still got whole kernels, so the texture is going to be great with the hamburger and the potatoes. The flavor was there anyway, but when you blitz that and then you add it in, it becomes part of the sauce, and you still have the texture pieces, but the flavor, it jumps like by a million miles. So I promise you, you're going to love this. So I'm going to heat the oven up at 375. We've got our hamburger in here, and now we're going to start adding this second layer to this to this hamburger. And I know this looks like a lot, but it's going to seep down inside of that hamburger, and we're going to help it in a minute. Before we add any more, we're going to cut that into that hamburger just a little bit, not completely. You want the layers to be separate, but you do want that kind of cut in. Now we're going to put the potatoes on, and I'm going to drop this in. Put this all on top in little pieces. You just have to drop it gently because there's a lot of liquid in here. Now we're just going to gently move this around. Put that over the top as much as you can. There we go. You can put it in just like this, or you can put a couple of pats of butter across the top, and that's going to help brown that all over the top. So this is once again up to you. This is just to make it look pretty. All right, so we're going to put this in the oven for about 40 minutes, and we'll check it, and we will keep coming back to take a look at that.
This is the part where you just wait. Let the butter do its thing. Let the edges brown up. Let the whole kitchen start to smell like home. Renee's about to pull that pie from the oven, and I gotta tell you, I snuck a peek. Wait till you see this.
Okay, so this has been in for about 35 minutes. I think it was a little less than I thought it was going to be. And we're going to take this out. Wow! Ooh! Oh my gosh, that looks delish. So this is done. Oh, that's beautiful. You can see it just looks delicious. I'm not going to cut into it right at this moment. I'm going to let it sit for about 10 minutes, and we'll put some in a plate and taste it. It's been 10 minutes, and we're going to give this a try. It's probably still a little runny, but that's okay. You can just scoop down and get it, but it will solidify a little bit more. Oh my gosh, that looks divine. That looks so delicious. those things it's hard to make look good on a plate, but I gotta tell you, this is yummy. We are going to, and that's going to set up even more as we move, as this cools down a little bit. It doesn't look like anything on the plate, but we're going to give this that crunch on the top. Oh, very hot. Oh. Oh my word. This is it's so delicious. It's got the hamburger and the creamed corn and those beautiful fluffy potatoes that we did and just a little crunch on the top. It's delicious.
And just like that, another cozy meal from the Shire. Simple ingredients, a little patience, and a lot of heart. We've got more great videos for you to check out. So until next time.
Thank you. And don't forget to subscribe.